You think Nikola Tesla built a machine that could split the Earth in half? FBI seized the documents, government classified it, too dangerous for public knowledge. That's the story everyone tells. But here's what they don't tell you. Tesla didn't create some magical earthquake weapon. He stumbled onto something far more interesting, far more real, and yes, far more terrifying than any science fiction. He discovered resonance. And once you understand what resonance actually means, you'll realize why a pencil-sized device vibrating at the right frequency could theoretically bring down a building. Not through brute force, through patience. Let's start simple. Push a kid on a swing. One push doesn't do much, but push at the right moment, just as the swing comes back, then again, and suddenly that kid is flying higher than your first push could ever achieve. You're not pushing harder, you're pushing smarter. You're matching the natural frequency of the swing. That's resonance. Every system, every object, every structure has a natural frequency at which it wants to vibrate. A wine glass rings at a specific pitch. A bridge sways at a specific rate. Your body, right now, has organs vibrating at their own frequencies. Match that frequency with an external force, keep feeding it energy at exactly the right rhythm, and small inputs create massive outputs. That's not magic, that's physics. Now here's where Tesla's story begins, and it's wilder than the myths. New York City, 1898. Tesla's lab on East Houston Street. He's working on a mechanical oscillator, basically a piston driven by compressed air that vibrates at adjustable frequencies. Small thing, fits in your pocket. He attaches it to a steel column in his lab, starts testing different frequencies. At first, nothing. Then he finds a frequency where the column starts vibrating. Interesting. He keeps going. The vibration spreads through the steel beam, then into the building structure, then into the ground. Buildings in the neighborhood start shaking, windows rattle, people run into the streets thinking it's an earthquake. Tesla realizes what's happening and smashes the device with a hammer. Police arrive minutes later. Tesla plays innocent. "Earthquake?" he says. "I felt nothing." But here's where Tesla had his brilliant insight, the thing that separates this from just a cool story. He understood that he wasn't creating the shaking through raw power. The device itself wasn't strong enough to move buildings. He was creating it through synchronization. Think about it like this. You know how soldiers break step when crossing bridges? That's not superstition, that's engineering. If a battalion marches in perfect rhythm across a bridge, and that rhythm happens to match the bridge's natural frequency, each footstep adds energy to the bridge's vibration. Step after step after step, the bridge starts moving. Small movements become bigger movements. The structure amplifies its own motion. In 1850, a suspension bridge in Angers, France collapsed this way. 200 soldiers marching, the bridge's natural frequency matched their cadence. 478 people fell into the river, 200 died. Not because the bridge was weak, because the timing was perfect. Tesla grasped something deeper. Every structure, from a wine glass to a skyscraper, is an oscillator. It has a resonant frequency determined by its mass, its elasticity, its geometry. You can calculate it. For a simple system, the frequency depends on the square root of stiffness divided by mass. Stiffer objects vibrate faster, heavier objects vibrate slower. A crystal glass might resonate at 400 Hz. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge resonated at 0.2 Hz, 5 oscillations per minute. In 1940, wind hit that bridge at just the right speed to match that frequency. Small pushes over and over. The bridge began twisting. The oscillations grew. Steel cables snapped. The entire bridge writhed like a snake and tore itself apart. Footage shows it clearly. Massive structure, gentle wind, catastrophic failure. Not because the wind was strong, because the wind was persistent and perfectly timed. This should break your brain a little. We think of destruction requiring massive force, bombs, earthquakes, hurricane winds, but resonance says otherwise. Resonance says a tiny force, applied with perfect rhythm, can accumulate until it overwhelms any structure. The math is straightforward. When you drive a system at its natural frequency, the amplitude of oscillation increases with each cycle. Without damping, without friction to bleed off energy, the amplitude grows without limit. In reality, structures have damping. Steel beams flex and convert some energy to heat. Concrete absorbs some vibration. But if your input exceeds the damping, the oscillation still grows. It just takes longer. Tesla's pocket oscillator delivered maybe a few watts of power, but applied at the resonant frequency of a building's foundation, cycling thousands of times, that energy compounds. Each vibration adds to the last. The building becomes an amplifier of its own destruction.
Here's the thing most people miss about Tesla's machine. It wasn't particularly sophisticated. The genius wasn't in the device. The genius was in understanding resonance deeply enough to recognize the danger. Tesla later claimed he could split the Earth in two with a properly tuned oscillator. Was he exaggerating? Absolutely. The Earth is too large, too damped, too complex. But a building? A bridge? Those are different stories. In 1908, when describing the device to reporters, Tesla said, "Earthquake? Yes, I could produce an earthquake whenever I wished. The only question is finding the right frequency." He understood that matching frequencies is the key. The device isn't powerful. The target is powerful. You're just teaching it to destroy itself. Now, let's talk about what happened after Tesla's experiments. Did the FBI really seize his documents? Yes. When Tesla died in 1943, the FBI's Alien Property Custodian Office confiscated his papers. The official reason was national security during World War II. Many documents remained classified for years. But here's what makes this less mysterious and more interesting. Tesla had worked on directed energy weapons, remote control systems, wireless power transmission. The government wanted to know if any of it was weaponizable. The oscillator? It was in those papers. Not because it was a superweapon, but because resonance-based weapons were genuinely being considered. In the 1960s, both American and Soviet researchers explored infrasound weapons using resonance to incapacitate humans. Certain low frequencies, around 7 Hz, match the resonant frequency of human organs. Expose someone to intense 7 Hz vibration and their organs start moving independently of their rib cage. It causes nausea, disorientation, potential internal damage. Not science fiction, documented research. Ultimately abandoned because making a device powerful enough was impractical. But the physics is sound. This isn't just theoretical. We've tested this. We use it. Ultrasound breaks up kidney stones through resonance. The stone has a resonant frequency. Hit it with ultrasound at that frequency and it shatters. No surgery needed. Microwave ovens use resonance. Water molecules have a resonant frequency around 2.45 gigahertz. Match that frequency and water molecules spin, heating your food. MRI machines use nuclear magnetic resonance. Hydrogen atoms in your body resonate at specific frequencies depending on their environment. Match those frequencies, measure the response, and you can image soft tissue. Engineers deliberately design buildings to avoid resonant frequencies of earthquakes, typically 0.5 to 3 Hz. They add dampers, tune the structure, make sure external vibrations can't synchronize with the building's natural sway. The Taipei 101 skyscraper has a 730-ton damper ball suspended inside. When wind makes the building sway, the ball swings opposite, absorbing energy, preventing resonance from building. Let me bring this all together. Tesla didn't invent earthquake magic. He demonstrated a principle that's been true since the universe began. Systems have natural frequencies, and when you match those frequencies, small causes create large effects. It's why Ella Fitzgerald could shatter a wine glass by singing. It's why buildings fall in earthquakes but survive hurricanes. It's why your car shakes at certain speeds but smooths out at others. Resonance is everywhere, fundamental, unavoidable. Tesla's brilliance was recognizing that you don't need enormous power to cause enormous damage. You need timing. You need synchronization. You need patience to let the energy accumulate. That pencil-sized device wasn't dangerous because it was strong. It was dangerous because it was persistent, because it understood the language structures speak in, because it whispered to buildings in their native frequency until they tore themselves apart. The documents weren't seized because Tesla built a doomsday weapon. They were seized because he proved a terrifying point.
The world is full of oscillators, and with the right frequency, the smallest push begins an avalanche. Understanding doesn't require believing in magic. It requires seeing that reality itself has rhythms, and those rhythms, once understood, once matched, give you power far beyond your size. That's not banned knowledge. That's physics, and it's available to anyone willing to listen.